Welcome to Module 1, Lesson 7, Campaign Review. This is the second step of the 8-part Google Ads audit checklist. All right, so we have to go ahead now and review our campaigns. Depending on the size of the account that you're reviewing, this will take longer or shorter. So obviously, the bigger the account, the more campaigns, the longer the step will take. I'll run you through this with one campaign for the sake of time because we want to keep these lessons no longer than 10 minutes. But you would follow the same exact thing for each one of your campaigns. So first things first, I just want to stay organized here and assign myself as the task owner. And we want to see, okay, do your campaigns follow a logical naming convention? So in this case, let's take a look. So just scrolling through the account, I can see they do have a logical naming convention. So I can see they've got region, theme, the network, the theme that they're after, the category of keywords, looks like the match type, and then the devices and the offer. So they have some rhyme and reason here. What I'm looking for is disjointed campaign names. So if I notice things like, someone puts demo and it's only demo, or it's just very vague and it's not consistent or congruent, that tells me there's no logical naming convention. So in this case, we're good. They have a naming convention, which is amazing. It's going to make our life way easier in the next steps. Are you targeting the right networks? So you really don't want to make sure that you want to make sure you don't have search and display enabled. So if you go into the client's campaign, you can click on the settings gear and then just make sure that under networks, it's only search network and search partners. You don't have the display network enabled. You can also, like a pro tip, is you can just filter by the campaign type of search, and then you can segment by network. So network, and then if they did have the display network enabled, you would see impressions by the display network when you look at the total dropdown. In addition to that, the search and display network, the campaign icon looks different from this. So that's another way for you to know. It's really good. Is your location targeting and options still accurate? So let's take a look at our location options. So we go to locations, options. I see they have presence chosen, which is great. We don't want to have presence or interest. Most of the time, there are exceptions, but if we want to reach people who are actually in our target locations or who commute through there very frequently, we want to make sure we have presence set. So that looks good. You can also come here to settings, campaign settings, and you can see all of the settings at the campaign level across campaigns in bulk. And then you can add additional parameters here if you want to just look at different things at once versus going into each campaign. But we're good there. So I'm going to mark that complete. Are you targeting one language per campaign with relevant ads and landing pages? So coming back here, do we have one language per campaign? So if I noticed, in this case, it seems like the answer is yes, it's all English. But if they had English and Spanish, that could be an issue because depending on the locations they're targeting, people in Spanish could be searching in Spanish and then they see our English ads, which can cause disconnect. So you want to make sure that if you're advertising in English, your keywords are in English, and your landing page is in English. So you just have that consistent message match in that local language. So in this case, it looks like we're good. So I'm going to go ahead and mark this complete. Next up, is your daily budget still aligned with your goals? This one, you're going to need to run through the Google Ads budget calculator or just talk with the client and kind of get an understanding of what they want to see if this makes sense. But generally speaking, I don't recommend less than $50 a day. Obviously, that's very circumstantial. If you have a average cost per click of like $2, $5, you can get away with a budget lower than that of $50. But generally speaking, in B2B, it can be a little bit more expensive on Google Ads. So 50 is kind of like our rule of thumb, but this is something you're just going to have to check for yourself and see if it makes sense. I know for this client, their budget does make sense just based on our conversation, so I can go to mark that complete. Are you using the correct bidding strategy? So let's take a look here. So this client is using manual CPC bidding. In this case, I actually don't think this is the right move for them. They have enough conversion volume, so they should start to switch over to something like target CPA bidding, to see if we can drive conversions at a reasonable cost per acquisition. So in this case, I'm going to mark that as a option here. So we finished this step, but they do not have it. So I'm going to make a note here using manual CPC. So I'm just making a note to myself. I'm like, okay, they're using manual. I think we can improve here. Do you have correct conversion action set applied? So in the campaign, do they have a conversion action set applied, or are they inheriting their account conversions? Under goals, if they have the account level one, that's totally fine. It's not necessarily like a bad or good thing. It's just something you're looking out for. But if they have a specific conversion action set created and they're applying it to this specific campaign, then you would see where they have the specific goals counted. The reason this matters and you want to look at it is because if they only have the goal specific settings at the campaign level, then they're not counting these other account-wide ones, which isn't necessarily bad or good, but it's just something to be mindful of. So you want to make sure if they do have this, that they have all of the conversion actions that matter in their conversion funnel mapped to the campaign so that it's getting associated with credit for bidding. So I'm going to go just mark this complete. So they don't. Looks like they're using the account-wide ones. Are your ad rotation settings still accurate? So just coming down here, how are we rotating our ads? Generally speaking, I recommend that you just do prefer best performing ads. If you do find that you're having some issues where Google is serving some ads dramatically more than others, then you can just put rotate ads indefinitely, and then Google will distribute each ad individually. But I generally leave this most of the time, so that looks fine to me. Is your ad schedule still up to date? So let's just take a quick peek here for one of these campaigns. Look at the ad schedule. So it looks like they're running ads Monday to Friday, and then Saturday and Sunday, they have a negative bid adjustment of 70%. So they're bidding down on the weekend of minus 70%, and then they're showing ads Monday through Friday. So this could be a good opportunity. If they're dropping their bids by 70% on the weekend, maybe we could make the case of like, hey, just show your ads Monday to Friday, right? And we can actually look here and see if we're noticing conversions coming in on the weekend versus not. So it doesn't look like much activity on Saturdays and Sundays. So in this case, it looks like we're good here. And I'm just going to leave a note, minus 70% bid adjustment on Saturdays, Sunday. And we're going to mark that complete. Okay, are you targeting the right devices? So in this case, with this campaign, let's take a look. So are they targeting the right devices? Okay, it looks like they've got only desktops enabled on this campaign, which makes sense because they're only trying to target desktop in their naming convention. That's what that D stands for, desktop. So they're only showing desktop on this campaign. They've blocked out mobile and tablet with this negative 100% bid adjustment. So that tells me this is congruent. If they had here all devices and then they're only showing on desktop, then that would be an issue. So this looks good. So we're going to mark that complete. Are you excluding existing leads and sales from your campaigns? So let's take a look at the audience section and just see, are they using exclusions? So let's open up this table. I can see they're excluding customers, but it's too small. So this is an opportunity to add more exclusions. So let's make a note. Okay. Do you have observational audiences added to your campaign? Let's take a look. And in this case, they do, which is great. Observational audiences don't cost you anything, and they allow you to see how certain audiences perform, and this can inform future campaigns in the after this, which is great. So they do, and they have bid adjustments as well, which is good. So I'm going to mark that complete. And then lastly, have you been actively running campaign experiments in the past? So really what I'm looking for is, are they leveraging the campaign experiment tool here or not? So in this case, it looks like they've actually ran quite a few experiments, which is great. And if I look in their account, they actually have one live right now, a campaign experiment, which is fantastic. A lot of clients actually don't leverage the campaign experiment feature. And we're going to talk about this in a future lesson, but it's awesome. So that's it. That's how we review the campaign. So you do the exact same thing for each of your campaigns throughout your account. Again, it takes time. It's the boring, unsexy work, but this is how you spot things by really going into the account. Your action item for this lesson is to review your campaigns and mark each completed step within the checklist template. I hope you receive a ton of value so far. Please share AdConversion with your colleagues or leave us a testimonial. Appreciate any help spreading the word. I'll see you in the next one.